What's going on?
Hello, hello. Hello there. OBS is causing me all sorts of issues today, so... Yep. Yeah, for whatever reason I had some issues getting OBS to capture Krita. I could either do window capture, in which case it would not update anything that I did, or I could do game capture, which is what I usually do, but it didn't want to capture for some reason today. But it eventually did, and that's also why the stream is later than usual. Hello, German. Good to see you here. So, we are... basically, thank you for the hydrate, Zaladin. So, yeah, and then for whatever reason, just audio input didn't want to remember the source that it's supposed to use. Hopefully everything is fine now. Hopefully we're all ready to go. Let's get into some art practice, shall we? So, I love you too, Kaede. Basically, yeah. So, basically, I haven't been that great at keeping up with my practice. You know, generally speaking, if there's something that you want to eventually be good at, the rule is keep doing that one thing. And the first week I was doing these art streams, well, the first week I did an art stream, you know, I was pretty good at keeping up with that. You know, I did it every single day. You know, in the evening I would just hook up my drawing tablet and be all, you know, I'll just turn on a stream, kind of lurk in the background, do some art while I do it, that kind of stuff. Or art practice, I should say. I have yet to actually be creating actual art. This is all just practice. So I was good about that, and then I went on a week-long break, and even though I brought my drawing tablet with me for that week-long break, I just completely neglected to do it. And then, since then, I just kind of haven't done it, except for the, one other drawing stream that I did since I got back. So I should get back into that. That's just how it is, right? If you want to be good at something, you do it. You gotta buckle up and do it. Or buckle down, buckle up, I don't know. So, just gonna do our usual warm-up here with just some basic shapes. Got some lo-fi beats playing in the background. And yeah, I hope you're all nice and cozy. Maybe you got something else that you're doing in the background. Maybe you're just listening to me and my stream. Maybe unwinding after getting home from work. Maybe you're still at work. Maybe you're at school. Maybe you're doing homework. I don't know, but for whatever reason, you decided to come to my stream, and that means something. So yeah, we're just gonna... essentially, yeah, this is just me making myself do art practice, because apparently the only way that I can actually make myself practice art is by scheduling a stream in which I'll do that. But yeah. Also, funny story. Over the past few years, I've gone through, well, I guess past couple years. I love you too, Zaladin. Yeah, past couple years, pretty much since I graduated college, I guess. Hello, Ian. I just kind of went through a lot of laptops. So I had like my main laptop, but that eventually just kind of got old. And I mean, I could probably do some work on it to make it usable again. But it was just like way too slow at doing anything, even though it was a gaming laptop. But I figured it was about time for an upgrade anyway. So I upgraded, and that one, so my original laptop, well, thank you for the follow, Pi. So, yeah, the original laptop, hello. Yeah, so the original laptop was, decent. It didn't actually have... Yeah, it did not have a case. It had a backpack that it came with, and I still have both the laptop and the backpack. But, so... The point is, I went through a lot of laptops. One laptop that I did get a case for, I got the case from Redbubble, was a Chromebook that I used when I studied abroad in Japan my junior year of college. Because the thing is, I didn't want to bring my big bulky gaming laptop because if something happened, flying across the ocean and it bumps around too much in the luggage, or just any number of potential things could happen, and I didn't want it to break. So I got a cheap little Chromebook just to, do work on. And that one was small enough to where I figured, I could get a case for this. So I did get a laptop case. It's a nice one. I've actually got it right here next to me. It's a Hufflepuff case, because I was way into Harry Potter back in the day, and I am a Hufflepuff. But anyway, we don't draw too much attention to that these days, because the person that created that is an awful human being. But anyway, yeah, so I had that case, and then... No, this is what happened. This is why I upgraded from my last laptop, the gaming laptop, to a different one. It was because an update came out for MTG Arena. This was around the time Throne of Eldraine dropped. And it broke the game for me. I could not play it. No matter how many times I uninstalled and reinstalled everything, I could not play Arena on my laptop. Even though it had all the specs for it, even though my laptop should have absolutely been able to run it, something broke with the update, and tech support was not helpful in the slightest. Do you know what they gave me when... So basically, I got in touch with tech support, hey, this game that I play of yours that you updated broke, and now I can't play it anymore. Can you help me? They were completely unable to help. Basically, the only way that I could play it was to buy another physical computer and download it on that. So basically, yeah, I what they gave me was, I think, 300 gold. No, actually, no. This is what they gave me. They gave me a single rare wild card for all my trouble. I was unable to play their game for 2 weeks, and they gave me one individual rare wild card. Fuck Wizards of the Coast. Like, seriously. Because I didn't want to be, like, entitled or anything, but it's also like, you broke the game to where I couldn't play it. So I feel like you should do something about that as a customer. Like, as I am your customer, I feel like it's your responsibility to, like, say you're sorry in some way. And I don't know, I just figured because I wasn't unable to play their game for, like, 2 weeks, maybe it was even 3 weeks, I can't remember. But I was unable to play their game for so long that there's an XP system in the game, right? And it restarts every season. And I missed out on 2 weeks worth of XP. So I was like, hey, could you maybe give me, like, I don't know, a couple levels? Because I know that's a thing they can do. I know for a fact that they have had redeems where you could just redeem a code and it would give you a free level. So that's a thing they can do. But they chose not to. They chose 2 weeks worth of not being able to touch their game in the slightest because of their own fuck up was worth a single rare wild card. Yeah. Anyway, back to this laptop story. Because the game just completely, entirely broke for that one laptop, and I was unable to use it. This was, by the way, the days before I owned an actual desktop computer. I did eventually get one, but years of my life went by where my only form of having a computer at all was a laptop. And basically, yeah, so what happened was, so I'm like, okay, cool. So no matter what, like, maybe a full factory reset of my PC would have made it work, but I don't think in my entire life I've ever resorted to doing that. Like, every time I run into a PC issue and people say, hey, a factory reset would fix it, I'm like, nope, I guess I cannot fix the issue then, because that is not an option. Now, I probably maybe should be a little bit more like willing to do that, but to me that is a last resort option. Yeah, I shouldn't have to do it to play a game. But basically, so I searched around. I'm like, okay, I guess it couldn't hurt for me to have another laptop because my Chromebook was fine, but all it could do is just be a way to use Google Chrome. That's a possibility, Ian, but at the point where I'm getting an external hard drive is the point where I'm getting a new computer. Like, if I'm going out of my way to buy a physical object, I might as well just buy not just a solution to my problem, but a whole new thing that won't have that problem. You know what I mean? So I wanted something that, unlike a Chromebook, could actually, run various programs, like Microsoft Word if I wanted to. I know you can do it online, but it's just not the same. So I got an HP laptop, a used one, for about $300 from Best Buy. And that one I still use it. It's not the best thing in the world. It's definitely showing its age. But it works, it exists, and I made sure it had the bare minimum requirements to run MTG Arena. And so it did. So that was what I played MTG Arena on. But with this new laptop, it's like, okay, this one's a little bit bigger than my Chromebook, so it's not going to fit into that PC cover. Well, that laptop cover, it's not going to fit into that. So I had to get a new one. And around that time, I got into Fire Emblem. So I got a Chromebook. Not a Chromebook. What the fuck am I talking about? I'm a little distracted with the art drawing. I got a laptop cover with the Crest of Flames on it. If you don't know the Crest of Flames, it is from Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's the crest that the main character, Byleth, has. And that's also not really a spoiler because you find that out very early on in the game. So basically, yeah, that's what I got. But eventually I just, like, while the laptop worked, it was still used, it was still not great. It's still, like, very slow with a lot of things. So I just figured, I need an upgrade. Another upgrade. Yes, I went through a lot of money during this entire process. I'm maybe a little bit stubborn and am the sort of person that just likes to throw money at issues until they go away. And by likes to, I mean I don't like spending money. It's just a matter of I might as well use it for something, you know? Like, for a time, I basically had nothing to spend money on. You know, I was just saving up, and it's like, saving up for what? I don't have plans to move out imminently. It's, I don't know, so I might as well buy, you know, various things for me. Oh god, that's awful, come on. So, and I will say, I have gotten better. I no longer will just buy a brand new computer because I feel like it and it will solve all my problems. But, you know, that's what I did. And with... what was it? Yeah, it was... yeah, this cheap used $300 HP laptop was fine, but it has so many issues, I just cannot write a full list of all the issues it has. And, as some of you may know, I have an upcoming job to go to Japan. At the time, this was like about a year ago, I was starting to prep for that. I'm like, okay, I cannot bring my desktop with me, and for the sake of me having a computer when I'm there, I'll need to bring a laptop. But I can't bring the old crappy gaming laptop because that one's just, it's way too slow, and it already has some broken hardware, and apparently hardware on a laptop is a lot harder to replace than on a desktop. So I basically was like, okay, so I need something that can check all these boxes. It needs to be portable, it needs to work, and it needs to play games. That's not a need per se, but I would like it to be able to play games. So I went searching around and got a new gaming laptop. This one is still the one that I use. It's still pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's good. And it has yet to have anything broken on it so far. So, yes, with this new laptop, it was actually a little bit of a downgrade from the original gaming laptop that I had, because this laptop does not have the same hard drive space. It is actually a lot smaller. Like, it has a lot less space. However, it does have room, if I wanted to, add an SSD card. Is that what it is? SSD? Basically, like a new memory thingy, whatever. It has space for one, if I wanted to. But the main point is, it can run a lot of things, and actually the graphics card in it is an upgrade from my old computer. So I was happy with that. The thing... But the problem with that new laptop is it was too big for any of the covers that I already had for laptops. And it didn't really have the right dimensions, or doesn't have the right dimensions for any laptop covers that I can like find out there. All of them are either too small or way too big. And even the way too big ones are like few and far between. I can't remember the exact dimensions. I think it's like 15 inches. And well, it wasn't that I couldn't find a new cover. I just was like, you know what? I should just stop buying covers. I don't need them necessarily. But since I stopped using the Crest of Flames cover for my HP laptop, I was like, well, what do I do with this one now? Since I have essentially given up on the HP laptop on being useful for anything other than just me watching YouTube videos and the occasional email that I have to write. Like, those are the very few things that I use that HP laptop for. But I found with this Huion drawing tablet, Huion? I don't know. With this Huion drawing tablet, when I was going out for my little trip to visit friends, I'm like, you know, here's an idea. I'm just gonna see if this drawing tablet, because at the time when I was packing to leave, I did still plan on every day doing some drawing practice. I didn't, but that was the plan. So basically, it's a perfect fit. The Crest of Flames cover is a perfect fit for this drawing tablet. I'm a little bit wary if it's if I should be putting it there. Hi, Donster. I am a little bit wary if I should be putting it there, because it's not really built for drawing tablets, and I feel like drawing tablets are a little bit more fragile than computers, like laptops. And also, I love you too. And also, there's extra parts. Like with the drawing tablet, it also includes this pen. And I hear these pens can also be fragile. So I do want to be careful of that. But I do want to keep the pen with the drawing tablet, so I stick it in that case with the tablet. So, you know, it's not perfect, but I think it's better than just leaving it loose, right? So that was the whole point of the story. It was the fact that I went through a whole bunch of laptops in order to fix various problems. And with those laptops, I ended up getting laptop covers, and I eventually got to the point where one of them I wasn't really using anymore, and it ended up being a perfect fit for a different thing. So it all worked out in the end. Now, so we've done our straight lines, our circles, our squares, our triangles, and our cubes and our cones. Now we have to do cylinders. That's next. Cylinders. By the way, I love drawing cubes. Cubes are fun. They're my favorite. I hate anything that involves ellipses, like cylinders and cones. Ugh, they're all gross. I think I'm better at drawing cylinders than I am at drawing cones, but I'm still not that great at drawing cylinders, I don't think. I do realize, with practice, that could change. But who practices? Ugh. I just want to be immediately perfect. I just want to be an artist. That's all I want. But put in effort to actually do that? I don't know. Who wants to put in effort for anything? So... anyway. I feel like there was another story I was gonna go down, or a tangent, or... I don't know, it was related to... I was talking about the drawing tablet and the cases. Fire Emblem. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I was going next. But... well, I guess this is a thing that I could just bring up, is the fact that I do intend on bringing the drawing tablet with me to Japan. But what might also not be a terrible idea is a sketchbook. What's going on? I'm hearing like a knocking sound. But it's like a I think it's a tree branch grinding on the bricks outside my room. That's probably what that sound is. So I'll just ignore it. But anyway. Yeah, when I do go to Japan, I do intend on continuing drawing practice. Maybe by the time I get back, I'll be an expert, because I honestly don't know how long it's gonna take. But, you know, if you're gonna commit to something, might as well fully commit. Like, if it's something you want to do, like, if you want to be good at drawing, the only thing you can do to reach that goal is do it. That's it. You just do it. Don't stop. Keep practicing. You'll get there eventually. So that's why I need to be doing. Also, it's a shame that my Live 2D model does not have hand tracking, because I am doing all sorts of hand gestures while I'm talking, and you're not seeing them. But, yeah, like, I don't know if that's a shame or not. Maybe you don't mind not seeing them. Hell yeah, art practice is pretty poggers. Hello, Nuzukara. Yeah, so that's definitely something that I plan on doing, so I do plan on packing up the drawing tablet. But I wonder if a sketchbook would also be a good investment. Because the drawing tablet includes all sorts of technology that like, you know, it's neat. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. But really, like, having a sketchbook would be, you know, what are the downsides of a sketchbook? You cannot control Z. You do not have unlimited layers to use. You don't have any layers to use, really. I mean, there might be a way you could, like, lay one page on top of the other and kind of see through it. But for the most part, you know, layers are not a thing that exist as a tool for you to use, as far as I'm aware. But I'm not really there yet. I'm just drawing basic shapes. And eventually working up from there. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe a sketchbook might be a good investment for me. It might, because that's one of the problems with me not setting up to practice with my drawing tablet anymore every single day, is the fact that, by the way, what was I doing? I did cylinders. I guess spheres is next. It's the fact that it takes setup. You know, I have to go over to where I keep my drawing tablet. I have to, you know, take out the tablet and the pen. I have to take out the cord and hook the cord up to my PC. And then, if my PC isn't even on, I have to turn it on. And then I have to open up Krita. But if I had a sketchbook, I wouldn't be limited to where I am, because I don't need to have a computer to do it. I wouldn't be limited by having to plug it into anything, and I wouldn't have to boot up any software. Like, I could just be on the couch watching, like, TV and practice drawing if I had a sketchbook. The question is, how quickly would I go through that sketchbook? Because that's another thing, right? This drawing tablet is virtually unlimited. Like, until it breaks, it has infinite uses. And that is literally not the definition of infinite. But you got what I'm saying? Like, a drawing tablet has longevity, whereas a sketchbook is basically up until I've used up every single page. So, yeah, it's a question of how much I'm willing to invest in that. But anyway. At some point, that is actually a goal of mine, is to just be an artist. And it was something that I wasn't even sure was a goal of mine in the first place until I just started doing this. I'm like, oh yeah. No, I kind of want to get there. And it's weird too, because I don't usually put a lot of thought into deciding what my goals are for various things. Like for VTubing, I don't really put a whole lot of thought into that. You know, I know various people are like, well, my long-term end goal is to make partner and, you know, be part of a team or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm just here for the ride. I mean, not that I don't have long-term end goals. I do want this to be something I could maybe potentially do full-time and just make money off of solely VTubing and just have that as my source of income. But I don't really have an in-between, you know? It's just here's point A where you start, and here's point B where you finish. It's like, what's the middle? What's the plan? Is there a plan? And no, there isn't a plan. I just kind of vibe with it. You know? Okay, so what's next? We drew all these shapes. I guess it's on to faces. And faces were a thing that I was having a little bit of trouble with. You know, I understood the basic concept last stream, but I wasn't very good at it. So, but we're gonna try that again. Let's start with just the cartoon faces. So those are the ones where you don't care about, you know, you take the circle and break that down into like a cube and then erase this part and erase this part. And then you like, you know, have another line, there's the chin line and there's your chin. And then you're like, okay, well, we don't need this part. This is like where the eye goes. And this is, actually, no, wait, what? Yeah, like this is where the eye would go, this is where the nose goes, and like right down here is the mouth. There's a lot of steps to that process, and I wasn't terribly good at it. I was fine, and I mean, you gotta start somewhere. But I just want to do a bit of practice with the basic thing that I was taught, which is circle. Turn it into a sphere. This is the eye line, so there's our eyes. There's our little nose. Right around here is our mouth. There you go, that's our face. We're gonna do a little practice just with like those basic faces, and then we're gonna move on to like the more complicated stuff. So, buckle down, strap in, grab a snack, grab some water, have tea if you're a tea drinker, you know, and just chill, vibe, do whatever, you know. I'm not the boss of you. Now, no, I'm not going to work with that one. See, the reason I don't want to work with that one is because I can't... I mean, I can kind of see, like, this is supposed to be the center point. But, like, here's a curve and here's a curve. This isn't a round object. Like, this thing has a bulging forehead. I don't want to work with that. We're going to move on. Let's just do some forward facing. Also, let's switch up colors so we can see better what the face is. No, that's not where the eye goes. Come on, Haru. No, there's our eyes and our nose and our mouth. What got me into taking digital art? Just seeing other people do it. Like, I noticed it's a thing that various other VTubers have taken up. Or not have taken up, but just like, that's their talent. Like, they do regular art streams where they do amazing art. You know, they actually commission or like get commissioned. And all it was for me is just like, I kind of want to get there. You know, I want to be a person that can make art like that. Wonder if people made concept foods. Not really sure. Okay. Yeah, the facial features are the things that I struggle the most with. This isn't the best, but the main point is just knowing. The main goal is just to draw the shape of the head and then determine where on that head shape various parts go. Yeah, so for me, I actually found like a YouTube tutorial guide thing of... Here, I'm gonna look it up right now and link it in chat. It is... which one? Brad's Art School. Shut up. Playlists. Okay, let's copy that link, paste it in chat. So this is Brad's Art School, and so far I have watched the first 3 videos. So it's just the very basics on how to draw shapes, something about construction is video number 2, where basically you're supposed to look at everyday objects and ask yourself, how do I break that down into the shapes that I already know how to draw? So, and that is a little bit complicated. I can conceptually look at something and break it down into those various shapes. The hard part is actually doing it. Like, it doesn't look all that good when I try. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just something I need to practice more. But yeah, it's harder to do the whole construction thing. But then video number 3, which I'm kind of working off of right now, is the how to draw heads. It's not even the how to draw faces part. Faces is video number 4. Also, is this part of the screen? Hang on. Let's draw a new one, delete that layer. Okay. It was a part of the layer. It was something I drew. Gotcha. So, yeah, right now I'm just kind of working on the drawing heads, and I have yet to get to the faces part. I'm just slow moving. And the reason I haven't moved on to video number 4 is I don't think I've practiced enough with video number 3 yet. Also, my circles, I think, are fine, but maybe could be a little bit rounder. Like, what he suggested doing in the first video was just kind of draw the circle over the paper or tablet or whatever, and then touch down, and then also kind of like go a little bit over, like draw a circle and a half or 2 circles. I don't know if it works for me. The gestures of my circles with ghosting. Like, is that it? Like the kind of drawing the circle in the air before you touch down? Yeah, kind of like... Oh, that was awful. Maybe I'll need to practice more with that. Yeah, 'cause like... Okay. You know, I'm kind of getting that. Yeah, you know? And that's also why I never... The fact that I'm still not great at drawing circles or squares or triangles, you know, I'm getting better, I think, but I'm still not perfect, is because I still need to get better at that too, you know? That's my warm-up every time I draw, is to draw those basic shapes, because I know I still need to practice those. And they're pretty simple to just remember, you know. You got, well, first of all, you start off with just straight lines and try to keep them as straight as you can. And then you kind of do the same with circles, you know. Just practice them, draw those out. And then I move on to our squares, our triangles, and our 3D shapes, which are cube. Cubes are fun to draw. Our cones. Cones are not so fun to draw. And cylinders. And then finally spheres. And I know for a sphere, what you're really supposed to do is draw the 2 ellipses, one's in the back, one's in the front, but that's ugly to me, so I just do this. But this one is probably better for practicing. Yeah, that's actually the very first thing Brad said to do, and I haven't actually done that much, is, you know, draw these 2 lines, and again, kind of with the circles, was to essentially plan it out beforehand, and then you touch down. And you see, that time was not so great. You know, that's kind of the gist. Maybe I shouldn't get ahead of myself, and maybe I should just remember the very first thing that I was taught. Trains your brain how to coordinate versus precision. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should just keep doing that then. But anyway, I do want to just do head practice. So before we get into the actual anatomical how to draw a head, we're just going to do the good old cartoony heads, which is, you know, here's one head, here's another head, and here is another head. Nah, come on, I can do better. That's a little bit better. And then from here, we kind of just go, you know, there's our eyes, and here's a nose, and here's a little mouth. And over here, there's going to be an eye, and an eye, a nose, and a mouth. And then we've got an eye with an eye, and a nose, and a mouth. You know, there's our heads. We did it. But those are cartoony heads. Those are the way cartoons look. If we wanted to get a little bit more realistic, what we would do is circle. And then turn that circle into a sphere. Come on. Turn that circle into a sphere. There we go. But, yeah, no. Let's do it dead on. So there's our sphere. And then we break it down into a little square inside of our sphere. Then this part right here, we erase. We don't want that part. You may be familiar with this method, Nuzukara. I'm not sure. But basically, yeah, we kind of go circle, and then square, and then get rid of this part. And then what was next? We need a chin line right here that's about equidistant here. We also don't really need this line at all. Like, this line, as far as I can tell, doesn't really need to be there. And then okay, so next we draw, you know, our actual chin. Oh, come on, I can draw better than that. So there's our chin. Then we kind of get rid of our chin line. You don't need to get rid of the lines, I just do because it looks cleaner. And then this part too, this lower part of the circle doesn't need to be there at all. And then what was next? This is our eye line, right? Yeah, like this is where the eye goes. And then I think this is the nose line, right? Like the nose, the nose kind of starts up here. And then it gets down here. So there's our nose line. And then the mouth line, well, there isn't really a mouth line per se, but it just kind of goes down here. And then from here, we draw our ears from kind of in between the two, like the eye line and the nose line. And then from this part, we can add all sorts of details. You know, we can draw hair, we can make the eyes look more like actual eyes, and add eyebrows, and do all sorts of cool stuff. So that's the method I learned for how to draw like a realistic looking head. And it has a lot of steps, but compare this. Hang on, I need to adjust my necklace real quick. Compare this to, oh come on, the cartoony where it's just like, you know, circle, face. Now come on, I can do better. Face, and then off of this face we got eye, and then eye, and then nose, and then mouth. You know, this didn't look very good, but you know what I was talking about, you know? So, what's this no? Oh, because I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. The entire body for 7 weeks using Pinterest references. I have heard that's a thing people do, is use Pinterest for reference stuff. Yeah, like, yeah. Someday I will be where I want to be, but for now, I'm just drawing circles and not being satisfied with them. Whoa! I didn't want to do that. That was too many undos. Delete that layer. I have learned Control Z. I have learned that Control Z is, like, important to remember. And also I know there's, like, a whole bunch of tools over here. If I really wanted to get, like, a good looking circle, I could just do, like, you know... There you go! It's a perfect circle! But... humans aren't perfect, you know? And again, the point is... to... be... Hang on, what's the drawing tool again? Is it this? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like that... You could use that if you wanted it to be perfect, but before you need to learn how to ride a bike, you need to learn how to... Wait, what's the expression go? Like, before you learn how to run, you need to learn how to walk. And before you learn how to walk, you need to learn how to crawl. You know, it's like, you have to start at the beginning. Don't get ahead of yourself. So, yeah, exactly. Like, I could probably use these tools, but that wouldn't help me. So, that's why I just found the video on YouTube, and it's like, do the basics. Draw circles. Draw as many circles until you get sick of them, and then keep drawing them. And then keep drawing them. And never stop drawing them. Draw all the circles. Draw all the circles. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So. Yeah. Totally. If I can determine my weakness, then I can pretty much, you know, work out the kinks there and then move on. So, yeah. If we're talking about faces, picture a bent paper. Now shape them in your imagination in several angles, like 3 to 4 head shots, side shots, and front shots. Interesting. Yeah, like, so I haven't even really learned the side shots. Like, from what I saw in the video, so here's what I was taught, and he told me to get, like, do the whole complicated face thing with each of these, but basically, circle, you know, here's our 5 circles. This one we're looking dead on. This one's looking off to the side. This one's looking off to the other side. This one's looking down. And this one's looking up. And make faces out of all those. Like, that's what the video told me to do. But I had trouble with doing the complicated design of, using the complicated method. I had trouble with that with the face that was looking off to the side. I could do it. It wasn't very good, but I at least understood very simply how to break down doing the whole process from the front. But from the side was a little bit more complicated because he added in, like, the ear ellipse. Like, this is how you're supposed to tell yourself that this object is flat on this side, is you add this little ellipse. And then there's another one right around here, and then you work off of that. And I don't know why, but this one was a little bit harder for me to work with than this one. So I do know I know that's my weakness there. So but the point of practice is to get better. Iron out those weaknesses, or hammer out those weaknesses. There's a phrase or something, I don't know. But basically get better, and eventually it won't be a problem for you anymore. So there's our little cartoony face. So I wonder, part of why I struggle with the faces, or the heads really, like, we're not even on to faces yet. Part of why I struggle with the heads is because I still struggle with the circles. Like, this does not look round enough to me. So maybe I should keep doing our circle practice and try it this way. I will also say I may be handicapping myself a little bit because of the kind of drawing tablet that I have. It doesn't have a screen. So I am having to essentially do all this without looking at my hand or the tablet itself. I have to look at my screen, at my monitor. So I can eventually get there. I can still get better. But I feel like my time practicing with this might be a little bit more challenging than practicing with a tablet that did have a screen. So yeah. Not that I'm complaining. Not that I think it's a bad idea for me to have this tablet. Please scream if I'm wrong. But it's kind of fine. Also, I don't mind the imperfection all that much, because I know it's never going to be perfect. Sometimes art is just that. Just a whole bunch of imperfection. So, yeah, let's get on to our face. Drawing here. And there you go. Then we switch over to our actual facial feature color. Let's go eyes. I find I have to rest my hand on the tablet. Well, have to is a strong word. I find I have more control if I rest my hand on the tablet while drawing the facial features. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Like, maybe I'm teaching myself a bad habit by doing that. But it's something that I just, you know, it's just something that I've found in doing this. Hello, Sparrow. Hello. So, there we go. You know, we got our face looking up, our face looking down, our face looking straight on. This face is looking off to its left, our right, and this face is looking to its right and our left. Oh, thank you. I'm still practicing them. I'm still working on, you know, like, getting good at art. In fact, I didn't even get to earlier when I was just drawing my basic shapes. There's an important piece that I think I should still get in the habit of trying, which is, we know how to draw our cubes. They're not perfect looking, but they're there. But what? Because we know conceptually how to draw a long cube. It's just not as easy. Because all the lines have to be kept straight. Like, I feel like here I kind of have a guide. Like, this is roughly how long this line is supposed to be, so I can kind of draw off of that. Whereas here, it's like, I don't have that. I don't have that guide anymore. It's all the way over here. What am I supposed to do? But yeah, so this also isn't really technically a cube, because a cube is a three-dimensional object with 6 faces, and each side of each face is equidistant and parallel. So these aren't technically cubes, but conceptually we'll just call them cubes for the sake of simplicity, because they all have the same. The point is not so much do they fit the definition of cube, it's do you use the same concept when drawing it? Because you're going to use the same concept to draw these two types of cubes, and you're not going to use that concept when you're drawing the cone. You know? Also, I really don't like the way I was taught to draw cones, because they don't look three-dimensional. Like, no matter how I do them, they just don't look three-dimensional to me. I was told it's like 2 lines. Ellipse. It's like, that doesn't look like a cone to me. Okay, this one's starting to. But this one doesn't. I'm also not that great with ellipses. Yeah, I should probably learn to discipline my hand work. Also, I don't know if you tried to post a link or not, but it will not show up. And that's because I have certain moderation settings. But yeah, I probably should work on like hand discipline. Okay. Alright. I'll try to make a point of looking into that. Yeah, so let's go back to the very basics. Remember, we draw the dots and use that as a guide for how the box is supposed to look. It's not perfect, but it kind of, you know, it's there. And you draw the stroke in the air before you touch paper, before you touch canvas. That's the way you do it. And that's why you draw the stroke in the air before you touch canvas. You know, I get very ahead of myself. I get impatient. I get, you know, I know what a square looks like. Psh, everyone knows what a square looks like. So I just draw a whole bunch of lines and then it ends up looking like this. And it's fine. But, you know, this line's a little bit curved. They're not necessarily equidistant. You know, I didn't have the start and end points in my mind until it was done. Which isn't bad, it's just different. Squares are indeed just flat cubes. In fact, we could turn all these into little cubes. Yeah, and the thing with cubes is you need to keep all these other guiding lines the same length. Nope, we can draw that. There we go. I like this one. I think I did that one relatively well. Here we go. I'm also very curious. At what point do you start using layers? And how are you supposed to use them? Because I have a concept in my head of, well, you start using layers for, like, you draw the basic shape of the thing, and then you can just kind of start drawing on top of that. But, like, what I'm curious about, and this is, again, maybe just me getting a little ahead of myself, because I don't think I'm really at the point where I should be using layers, but just conceptually, like, what I was thinking of was the whole face. You know, the faces we were working with earlier. You draw the circle, and then here's our sphere. Cut out the box, and then, you know, you draw the chin line. But instead of erasing all this, you just create a new layer and draw on top of this layer. But what you need to do is just kind of follow the lines that you've already laid out on the layer underneath. Well, like, we don't need that line. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe it's just adding an extra layer of complexity. Well, yeah, why would I do that? Hang on. Undo all that. Yeah, how would it... Let me break this down. How would... So we need this head shape right here. But no, we don't. We need the head shape to go like here, and then it flattens out. And then we kind of draw our little chin, except the chin has to look good. The chin is another thing that I struggle a little bit with. And then we have all these guiding lines, so we can draw our face now. So we've got our eyes, and our nose, and our mouth. And then, ready for the magic to happen, delete the layer, and look at it. It doesn't have the guiding lines. Have assignments to work on and studies for your art hobby, but keep up the good work. Alright, thank you, and thank you so much for the advice. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great day, Nuzukara. So that's what that was just an idea I had for layers. Male VTuber stopping by to test out your bot again. So, yeah, that's just a concept. But again, I don't think we're really at the point where we should be worrying about layers yet. Right now, we just need to get good at the basics. So, practicing the hand discipline, getting our circles to look nice and decent is gonna be impossible. The circles will never look good. They said, circles are impossible to get perfect, they said. But this is fine, right? This is probably okay. But hear me out, hear me out. What if We drew some lines through all of these. Let's start this line from the bottom, actually. So let's go bottom right to upper left. I need to actually commit to it, though. Do a full follow through. I kind of chickened out. And then bottom left to upper right. And then... do a line on the left, line on the bottom, line on the top. I could do better than that. There we go. And now, why did I do this? For practice. I mean, I don't know. Just drew all these circles, might as well do something with them. So let's try and draw, you know, through these circles and kind of along the sides of these circles, you know, or the tops of these circles, the sides of these circles. Was I successful? Kinda. Not really, but kind of. But let's get rid of you. We don't need you anymore. What now? What should we do now? Stretch time. Stretch your arms out. Maybe crack your neck. Do whatever you need to do. Make sure you're sitting upright in the chair with good posture. No one redeemed a posture check, but I might as well do one myself for free. Make sure you're nice and hydrated. Drink a little bit of water. Or tea or coffee or whatever you have with you. And do a little bit of hand stretching. Now, I did see a little, kind of like a guide. I was going to say module, but that's not really the right word. I saw a guide posted to Twitter on, like, various hand stretches you're supposed to do. Just in general, but it was kind of more specifically targeted towards artists or people who use their hands a lot for various different things. And I did save that image, that guide. I just can't remember any of it. And it's just kind of buried in the photos of my phone. So maybe I should do, like, actually those specific stretches. Because I have a feeling, with how much I use my hands, in my right hand especially, for this, when I'm at this PC, my mouse is on my right side, and I don't really have a desk or a chair that really balance out in a good enough way for me to have proper wrist support for when I'm using my mouse. So that could lead to long-term bad stuff. But this is also not my long-term intended setup. At some point, I do plan on actually getting a desk and actually having a chair that actually is supposed to, you know, line up where it needs to be with my desk. So we'll see. Also, today is the 16th. So I'm going to be leaving for my new job in Japan on the 2nd of October. But I need to go to Chicago on the 1st because the flight is early in the morning. So I need to make my way up to Chicago then. Have I completely given up on drawing? Let's just do circle drawing while I talk about this. So, yeah, basically that's an up-and-coming thing with my new job that I have in place, is that I have to, I have a flight that's going to take me to Japan, and it leaves early morning on the 2nd of October. And then when I do eventually get there, no, that's not what I was talking about. So, yeah, the point is, I kind of leave this town, I leave this house on the 1st, which is why today I had to go into the DMV to renew my driver's license, because my current ID is, it's still good for a little bit, but it was going to expire in May of next year. And I would have been out of the country when my ID expired, and that would mean that my driver's license would not be valid anymore. And it'd be a lot harder to renew outside the country than it would inside, so I wanted to renew it soon, and it needed to be renewed pretty much now, because as it turns out, those things can take up to 15 days to ship, and I'm like, well, I have exactly 15 days before I have to leave, so good thing I did that today. I also need to double check. Actually, where's that paper? It's sitting right up here. What does it say? Business days. Oh god. Uh-huh. Let's hope it gets here quickly, because I don't have 15 business days. Oh dear. Yeah, this whole thing is causing me all sorts of stress. Now, I'm gonna, actually announce this on Twitter at a later date, where anyone that needs to see it can be aware of it. But basically, this whole new job is going to cause a lot of changes regarding me and VTubing. Number one, what's going to happen is... Hello, Dom. Greetings. Number one, what's going to happen is I'm going to be in a completely different time zone, 14 hours ahead of this time zone. And what that means is my schedule is going to be essentially completely different from what it is right now. And on top of that, I will have an actual full-time job that I have to dedicate time to, which means not as much free time as I have right now. So here's what I'm aiming for, and this is all without any idea of what my day-to-day schedule is going to be like. I'm aiming for streaming 3 days a week. Probably in the evenings, which would be very early morning over here. So, like, if I were to stream at, like, 9 p.m. over there, that would be 7 a.m. here. And I probably won't stream as late as 9 p.m. Like, I'll be streaming at that time, I just won't necessarily be streaming starting at that time. So essentially, what's going to happen is my schedule is probably going to look very similar to what I see a lot of the GMT+8 streamers use. Like, well, I'm specifically talking about Chaz. If any of you follow Chaz on Twitch, who, by the way, is a minor, but, you know, he will often be streaming around, like, in the evening, his time zone, which will be about when I wake up. So, and that's GMT+8. I'll actually be in GMT+9, which is, like, another hour. But essentially that means people that right now are able to watch me may not be able to there. However, it does mean that I might potentially have opportunity to get a new audience, you know? The GMT+8 folks that, you know, live in the Philippines or wherever, Indonesia maybe, are, you know, that wanted to show up to my streams but couldn't because my time zone is so vastly different from theirs. Maybe they'll be able to then. Other things that me being all abroad means, I'll have a different living space, and I will take most of my streaming equipment with me. So I will take my Switch along with the dock and my capture card and my phone stand and my mic, and maybe there's some other stuff that I'm forgetting. But essentially just a whole bunch of smaller things that I can pretty easily pack into my suitcase and take with me overseas. So not my desktop PC, but I will take my laptop. And so I'll be streaming from my laptop, which will be a bit of a change. My laptop can't handle as much as my desktop can. I don't even know if it can stream. It should be able to, but I have yet to actually test that out. So when I'm overseas, yeah, I'll be taking my laptop along with all my streaming equipment. I'll be trying to stream 3 times a week if possible. It's also possible that I won't be able to manage 3-hour streams anymore. Maybe I'll have to cut them down to like 2 hours or something. But, you know, I'll still try to stream and still try to keep a regular schedule. As for what I'll be streaming, I think it's a good opportunity to switch things up. Because currently, I have 3 ongoing series. Well, really it's more like 2 ongoing series and then a 3rd series that pops up, but it's not really a series necessarily. Hello, Big. But essentially what that so the 3, well, the 2 series that I currently have going on in terms of my streaming schedule are, I'm just doodling circles, because that's the thing that I need to practice. I need to get better at drawing my circles. But basically, when I have this whole new schedule, yeah, currently what I'm streaming are Crusader Kings 3, and Skyrim. Although I really can't do Skyrim anymore because my PC has decided it has reached the point where it can't. So, what I'm gonna do then... What I'm gonna be trying to do is I'm gonna be wrapping up Crusader Kings 3 and get to a stopping point in Skyrim. It's not going to be the end of the Skyrim series, and it might not even be the end of the Crusader Kings 3 series. It'll just be a stopping point where we can leave things be. I go overseas to my new job and all sorts of new changes in my life. I'll still be streaming, but in a vastly different time zone, and maybe not as regularly. But that's a great opportunity to switch up what I'm streaming. And here are my plans. I want to stream, first of all, The Elder Scrolls Online. Whether or not I'll actually be able to stream that on my laptop is a solid question, because I have yet to actually stream that on my PC. And my PC is more beefier and more powerful than my laptop. So, we'll see. The other thing that I want to try and stream is Assassin's Creed. Some of you may have been there, or may remember, or whatever, way back in June for my 2-month anniversary stream. I did an endurance stream where I tried to beat the entirety of the first Assassin's Creed game in one sitting. I wasn't able to, and not because I ran out of endurance, but because the game did. The game was extremely buggy, and it got to the point where I actually got, like, a bug that kind of just, as far as I can tell, hard locked me from being able to actually finish the game. That was at the 16-hour and 45-minute mark, by the way. Oh, Maru, thank you for the raid. So, that was the first Assassin's Creed game. I will not do a full playthrough of that one. Small B-raid. Well, any B-raid is a good B-raid. It's good to see you, friend, and also congratulations on getting your Twitter account back. So, essentially, yeah, I won't be finishing up the original Assassin's Creed run, you know. It's not required to understand any of the later games. I mean, there is a whole plot line involving Desmond Miles and all this other stuff, but it's not necessary. But anyway, I do want to kind of play through various games in the series in order, which means Assassin's Creed 2. And that one will not be an endurance stream. That one I want to actually, like, delve into and turn into a series. So, that will take up one slot. Elder Scrolls Online I already mentioned. I am also considering... So part of me wants to do like a Fallout. And I will play some Fallout game on stream at some point during my life. Not to mention I have had a little bit more recent of a, like, hankering for Fallout. Like, I've kind of missed playing that game a little bit. I'm specifically talking about Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas, because those are like the only 2 Fallout games that I've actually really played a lot of. I haven't really touched 3. Like, I played the intro and then got distracted with another game. And then I have not played any of the isometric RPG Fallouts, which, I don't know, isometric RPGs just are not my thing, even though I know, like, I don't know, they're I feel like I could enjoy them. They're just not really there as a thing that I actively know that I'll enjoy, if you get what I'm saying. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone. That's not to say I wouldn't have a good time playing isometric RPGs. Like, Divinity is one that I've been thinking, like, oh, this is totally a game that, like, seems really awesome. But then I look at it and it's like, oh, it's an isometric RPG. Huh. Maybe not then. I should give one a try at some point, just to see. But I'm not terribly, like, on the edge of my seat for trying one. But no, what I will be looking at doing is basically any of the 3D Fallouts. So anything Fallout 3 onwards, I might consider doing. But I also don't want to, like, completely drop my strategy game slot, which is currently being filled with Crusader Kings 3. If I were to swap that out with, say, maybe another Paradox game like Stellaris, or maybe Civilization 6. You know, one of those could be a thing that I fill in my slot with. You know, I'll find a strategy game that I'll probably stream regularly while I'm there. And then we have MTG Arena. That's something that, like, I've kind of noticed with MTG Arena, that it's a game that when I first started streaming, I just assumed, oh hell yeah, I'll become like all the other MTG content creators that stream this game super regularly and, like, has a collection where they'll play like a brand new deck every single day and stuff like that. And now I realize, no, that's just not me. MTG Arena is still fun. I just find, at least as far as where my collection currently sits, I can't really stream that many decks because I don't have that big of a collection to have that many decks. And then on top of that, basically what I'm getting to is, it's not that I won't stream it, it's that it's gonna be not as regular. It's more so just gonna be like a whenever a new thing comes out. So I've streamed Arena when Jumpstart came out, when the newest Jumpstart came out, when, you know, Strixhaven came out. Actually, that was like when I started, wasn't it? Yeah, I think Strixhaven. D&D.
I love you 3000.
I love you too, Malefic. Yeah, so you know, the D&D set came out, I streamed that. So, yeah, basically just updates. When those happen, I'll stream them. Speaking of, next week, I believe it's next week, will be the newest MTG set. Or maybe, wait, is that today? It's either today or next week. I'm 90% sure it's next week, though. Is the newest MTG set where we're going back to Innistrad and werewolves. Hell yeah, Midnight Hunt, that's what it's called. Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So I will stream that. But yeah. And then Slay the Spire will always be just a thing that exists in the background of just whenever I want to stream something, but I'm not sure. Then I'll just pull out Slay the Spire and we'll have some fun with that. I've been kind of playing around with mods in that game finally, because it is a game that is very attractive to the modding community. So, you know, the fact that it's a game that has a lot of mods, I very much enjoy the full game itself without any mods. Like, it doesn't need mods to be good. But I still want to, like, you know, give some of those a try. Maybe I'll stream them. And then there's also other indie games that are, like, you know, good. There are some good indie games out there that have all sorts of things going for them, you know? So maybe I'll stream those at some point. Ooh! Oh! Oh! October's coming up. And I have the perfect indie game. The problem with streaming in October is it's like the month that my schedule is going to be the most. I don't know when I'll be able to stream. But I have a spooky theme game in mind. I'll have to remind myself to make a point of streaming this. So I'm not a person that's really a fan of scary games. I don't like jump scares. I couldn't get through Dead Space. I tried, I tried, what's the, Slender? Do any of you remember Slender? Like, back when that was a massive pop culture thing. I tried that. It was a little too scary for me. I have not played a single one of the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I've seen playthroughs of them. I've not touched it myself. I know for a fact I'd be too scared. I did once try Phasmophobia and found out that game is a lot scarier than I thought it was. Doesn't mean I won't be able to do Phasmo. It just means my PC needs to be able to do Phasmo. But, yeah, thank you, Malefic, for the host. Yeah, so the point is, I'm not really a big fan of scary games. I don't like being scared. It's not a feeling I enjoy. But there is a spooky game that I played by myself and enjoyed. Nah, you didn't scare me, Malefic. You'll have to try a lot harder than that. And it's an indie game. And that one, I think, I would be able to stream pretty well. Have any of you heard of... Hang on. I'm just kind of giving up on the drawing at this point. Have any of you heard of Fear Equation? Does that name ring a bell to anyone? Fear Equation. That's a game I'll probably stream in October. It's not jump scary. In fact, some people would play it and not even consider it to be scary. You know? People that are fan of horror games would be like, oh, that's not a scary game. Which, okay, fine. But as someone who's not into scary games, it has a spooky atmosphere. And there are still cutscenes and moments in the game where you will just be like on the edge of your seat. They don't... Yes, it's like softcore horror. Yeah, it's like... So, fear equation, you're basically only... You're in a post-apocalyptic world. But the entirety of the game is just you sitting in the engine of a train. You never leave it. Heck, you don't even really look outside of it. Like, all you see outside is fog. This thick fog has rolled over, like, the entire world or whatever, and is the source of people's fears or something. I don't know. There's probably lore. But basically, this fog is the reason there's an apocalypse. And it's kind of alive. Your goal is to essentially get through, you know, you're just locked inside the cabin of the engine that's driving the train. Your goal is to follow the train tracks from the start to the finish, and the finish is like, you know, salvation or whatever. But over the course of, you know, you will have to stop to get fuel, to get resources, like, you know, medicine, weapons, food, and, you know, like flashlights, stuff like that. You'll have to stop at various places and pick up survivors, because it's a train. It's a passenger train. It can carry people to salvation with you. So you kind of have to manage the survivors of the train that are on the train. You have to keep them alive, because their nightmares will come alive and try to kill them because of the fog. And you have to, again, manage the fuel as a resource, manage food as a resource, and just in general, you know, pick up more survivors as you go. And these survivors will not always get along. In fact, a lot of them have varying political views. It's more like their outlook on the fog in general. So, you know, you'll have a subgroup of people that look at the fog as something that cannot be scientifically explained. You know, they look at the fog as like some divine intervention or something, and they will see it as, you know, divine intervention that is a good thing for us. So that'll be one subgroup. And then another subgroup will be like, it's divine intervention, but it's not a good thing. It's more like just the apocalypse that God has cast down upon us. And then another subgroup will be like, you know, actually, there's got to be a scientific explanation for this. There's just got to be some scientific reason for why this fog exists in the first place. And then that'll be broken up into, like, you know, the more optimistic group of, like, maybe there's some good that can come of this, and the more pessimistic group of we're all doomed. So, you know, the survivors will be broken up into various groups based on their ideologies. You just have to see it. It has a spooky atmosphere. It's softcore horror, and I'll try to remember to make a point of playing it during Spooky Month. But then, again, maybe not all of you will be able to see my Spooky Month because I'll be streaming at, early morning for a lot of you. Some of you won't be awake. So, that's why archives exist. So, as you can absolutely always look at my archives here on Twitch and, find whatever my most recent stream was and watch that. They're up for about 2 weeks, I think, before they go into the internet ether of never to be seen again. Except for the fact that I also upload those VODs to my YouTube channel, which is linked in my card, in my bio on Twitter, and it's also linked, if you type in the YouTube command, which is something that I never use, but there you go. That's my channel right there, where I upload all my VODs to. So, that'll be a way you can keep up with me. If you can't catch my streams when I'm in a different time zone on the other side of the world, they'll be there. So, yeah, Fear Equation, October, Spooky Month. Something to keep in mind. Also, I don't know if I'll stream this or not, but something I always like to do during Spooky Month is rewatch my favorite kind of psychological horror anime, which is called Shiki. And I don't want to get into spoilers here, so I won't. All I'm going to say is Shiki is a slow burn kind of horror anime. You're just kind of on the edge, there's something that's not quite right for a long time, and then things start to snowball. And then towards the end of the anime, that's where things really pick up and everything goes to shit. And the way I time it every October is on the 13th is when you watch the first episode. And then after the 13th, watch every following episode a day later. So like watch episode 1 the 13th, watch episode 2 the 14th, so on and so forth. And then binge the rest of it on the 31st. Because that is the point. If you watch starting on the 13th and go all the way up to the 31st, it will line up perfectly to where on the 31st, that's where everything goes to shit, and it gets super chaotic. So Shiki gets my recommendation of, if you're looking for a spooky show to watch, specifically an anime, it's a good one. I really enjoy it. It delves into a lot of the kind of human psyche. There are vampires involved, by the way. And it's kind of like, are vampires really evil? Maybe the real evil is humanity. Something to think about. But I'll leave it there, because we've kind of just turned into a just chatting stream. I've just kind of given up on the drawing at this point. We've been going for 2 hours, which I find I have less endurance for drawing streams than gaming streams, because the drawing I kind of get bored with after a while. It's fine. As long as I keep picking it up and keep doing it, it's not that big a deal if I just do shorter streams. So, let us find someone to raid, shall we? And we've got a few people doing a collab, don't we? We got Safi, Connie, Keyblade, and Minra are all playing Borderlands 2. And looks like Minra has the fewest amount of viewers, so let's go and raid her, shall we? So we're gonna go ahead and raid Minra. And right here in chat, we have our raid message. You can copy and paste that if you want, or type it in yourself when we get there. Be sure to spread the love, not just to Minra, but all the people she's collabing with. We're just sending it to her because she has the lowest view count right now. If you are subbed to me, which this is September, and all subs are 20% off, you can use this cute little Haru Hugs emote, as well as have access to a few other emotes that I have on my channel. With all that said, tomorrow is Friday, so another Crusader Kings 3 stream to look forward to there. And yeah, let's all head out and watch some Borderlands 2. Bye bye.
The map, what the fuck?
Wait, it is!
I'm trapped.
Here, I got
Someone
this.
call a tow truck. Help! Oh god, I'm being eaten by the